The following program may contain language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Hey, yo, check this out. This is Flavor Flav, and you are watching Dontae'S Boxing Nation, baby.
Welcome to Dontae'S Boxing Nation show here on alltalkradio.net. Now here's your host, Dontae.
Listen, man. I'm a tough guy. I'm off the street of Jamaica. I'm a tough guy. As I say, I love fighting. I like tough opponents. I like great fight. I like when I finish fighting, people can talk about my fight. They can say, well, Nicholas put on a great show, and 5-6 years after, they still can talk about what happened here today, right? So that's it. In fighting down here, I knew that it was going to be a tough fight. It's always going to be a tough fight. He's a very tough fighter. He's a very good opponent and everything. So I went into the gym. We knew who we were up against. We went into the fight. We did a lot of hard work in the gym. We have nothing to take away from my people. They helped me a lot, and this is the outcome.
That's it. That's it. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Dontae'S Boxing Nation show. I am your host, Dontae. We got a great show for you guys. A whole lot to talk about, right, y'all?
Yes, sir.
A whole lot to talk about. First things first, let me go ahead and introduce all of my guests and my co-host in the studio with me, Mr. Norrin Radical in the building.
Bumbleclot.
There you go. And on the radio, or on the phone with me, I should say, is my man, Ekingfightnews, one of the best YouTube boxing channels out there. What's going on, my man? You guys can also follow him. What's that? Go ahead. You guys can also follow him at Ekingfightnews YTBC. He has 2 channels. And also, my other man on the phone, this man, he's been following my channel, and I appreciate you for that, man. He wanted to come and, educate the decafs and everybody else in the sport of boxing. Mr. Marquis, that's what he said, by the way. Mr. Marquis, you guys can also follow him on Twitter at retro_rockin23. All right, y'all? So let's get into it. You know, I don't always start with the, actually, I was about to say I don't always start with the main event. I forgot this wasn't even the main event. So we actually still going traditional right now.
Undercard first.
It should have been the main event.
All day.
It should have been the main event. So,
Absolutely.
So we're going to go ahead and start with this, man. So, of course, your boy Nicholas Walters, he knocks out the Filipino Flash, Dontae'S, in 6 rounds. Very impressive. I done already watched the fight about 6 times, man. So I'm going to start with you, Marquis, since you new on the block, man. Go ahead. Did that fight play out the way you thought it would, Marquis, or what?
Yeah, I expected Walters to get him out like probably 6 rounds or maybe even 8. But pretty much, Donaire, he couldn't really hang with Walters in a sense to where he couldn't deal with his jab or anything like that. The jab was pretty much like the number 1 factor. But when it comes to power, I think Nonito, he had a slight edge when it comes to that. But also, it was some mistakes that he was making in the fight because he wasn't doing it effectively, and that was the foot movement. Like, while he's moving around after getting caught with certain shots, because he was getting sort of reluctant. And the thing was that he wasn't having no head movement as he was trying to use footwork, and it wasn't really effective. It's not really part of his game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I truly agree. And what you think? Go ahead, E-King. How did it play out? Did it play out the way you thought it would?
Absolutely. We were talking about the fight. I think many weeks earlier, and what I told you was this reminded me of. I thought Walters would have a breakout performance like Manny Pacquiao did against Marco Antonio Pereira back in the day, where I thought it would be a dominant performance, and give a lot of respect for Dontae'S for taking the fight.
Yeah,
he didn't have to take this fight,
not at
all. And Walters really showed that he's the truth, man. This guy can give anybody a run for their money in this division. He showed a great jab. And the one thing that really got me, I was thinking before the fight, I don't even know who has the best left hook, because both of these guys got great punching power. And just looking at the fight, I truly believe the height and reach really gave Donaire a lot of problems in there, much like it did when he fought Matabula. He got hit a lot more, and his defense couldn't really help him in there, and he eventually got KO'd.
Yeah, absolutely. What about
you?
Hey,
Dante, what's up? It's Ego.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Ego, what up, Ego?
Dropping
what's
in
up,
like
y'all?
the celebrity that he is. What's good, man?
What's up, y'all? I'm just listening to the conversation.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you just popped in right now, right?
No, I heard both responses.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, got you. Okay, Norin. So, I mean, did it surprise you? I mean, we all thought we was all leaning towards Walters, man.
For sure.
But to knock him out like that, what you think about that,
That's
man?
what I'm saying. I'm impressed by E. King and Marquis. Like it played out the way they thought. Goddamn, they prescient like them all. But it did. The right guy, in my estimation, got the victory. But I didn't see him stopping Donaire, and I definitely didn't see him stopping him in such impressive fashion. I mean, I was really, really impressed with Nicholas Axeman Walters. A lot of power, just a lot of fundamental textbook boxing, like E. King and Marquis just said. The jab. I mean, not only was the jab, it obviously was a great jab. It was executed again, textbook style. But it was consistent. It was through the duration of the fight, constantly there, constantly disrupting Donaire's rhythm. Donaire could never get himself set, so it was just, perfect execution of the number one punch. Fighting, on the inside, fighting in close. First of all, constantly backing Donaire up. Donaire, again, so renowned for his left hook, for the power in that hand. When you get a power puncher backing up, fighting on the back foot like that for, round after round, generally it's going to be a long night or a short night for, that fighter who relies on the power, if he's forced to back up constantly. And Walters just, backed Donaire up throughout the entire course of the fight. Just doing everything right. Let me just finish, Marquis, and then you're going to have plenty of time to intervene, but
no, I didn't say nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sorry, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Hey, listen. Okay, he's doing everything right. He's backing Donaire up. He's making Donaire miss. Like I was saying, they're fighting on the inside. Donaire is missing on the inside, and then he's paying. So a guy that can, do all these things, make the other guy miss, make him pay, back him up, back up a power puncher, consistent with the jab. Accurate, again, just a textbook performance. Brilliant work by Nicholas Walters and a brilliant KO victory.
Absolutely. And let me just say this real quick before I let you guys go. This also goes to show you that when you hear people talk about what's quote-unquote running, they always try to make it seem like if you quote-unquote run, you're guaranteed to win the fight. This just goes to show you that even if you're running, that doesn't guarantee you're going to win the fight. You still got to know what you're doing. I mean, it is not running. We're just using the words that they use.
Of course.
But when you are in there boxing and moving around, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win the fight.
And
Whatchamacallit, Nicholas Walters, he was able to nullify Nonito Donaire's boxing ability with an intelligent jab. And he was countering the counterpuncher as well.
Exactly.
So,
And just to add on real quick, the key term, intelligent. He fought such an intelligent fight. Again, we have, aggression, like you said, and, people are very turned on by aggression these days, or, for lack of better terms.
So they say.
Yeah, very excited by, but like you said, the aggression, if it ain't effective, then, what is it? Not only was Nicholas Walters effective with his aggression, he was so intelligent with his aggression. I mean? It was always moderation. He was never, swinging for the rafters, nothing wild, everything accurate, everything textbook execution. Like I said, just a brilliant performance and a brilliant KO victory for the Axeman. Bumba Clot.
Ego, what's your take?
If I could just add in, sorry.
Go ahead, Eking.
Walter showed he had a great chin as well.
Yes, sir.
Being able to adjust after the second round, basically taking Nonito's best shot,
absolutely,
his left hook, right at the end of the round, and he recovered, and he fought intelligently right after that, and he took over the fight.
Yes, he did. Go ahead, Ego.
Man, I agree with what everyone said. I knew going into this was a 50-50 fight. Obviously, Donaire had more experience at this level. But it's different when you're in there with a guy like Nicholas Walter. And on my prediction video, I even called it down to the punch that would create the openings. I said that uppercut. And I really started paying – I seen a couple of Nicholas Walters fight, but I really paid attention in the Darchinian fight. He was sneaking that uppercut in, and it was vicious. And I told people on my prediction video that the uppercut, he finds a way to sneak it in. And that, you know what I mean? That's the uppercut is, to me, one of the underused. Like Mike Tyson was great with the uppercut. And not too many people expect it because not as many people have a solid jab or have a solid uppercut nowadays. You know what I mean? And I just like Nicholas Walters' performance. Just like E. King said, I think this was kind of reminiscent to like Gamboa, Terrence Crawford type fight, fight of the year style fight, and you get to see the best of both fighters. I think Donaire had a decent performance. He just wasn't big enough, and he just didn't get off, so he pretty much got dominated. But there were elements of excitement and danger because he got clipped at the end of the round, and that just goes to show you what level of athlete Nicholas Walters is, because I could tell the way and he was in shape, but that's the type of punch that took at the end from a left hook artist that if you're not in good shape, then that might, you know what I'm saying, you might not be able to recover from it like that. So he was in tremendous shape. He did everything he said he was going to do. He said he was going to go for the knockout. He did that, and I just knew that uppercut would create the opening. And then the last thing is, ever since the Rigondeaux fight, I'm not trying to take away from Nicholas Walters because he did what he did, but I had to go off of momentum, and Donaire just hasn't looked quite the same. But I think he truly trained for this particular training camp, and he knew what he was up against, and he made no excuses at the end. He said, I trained my heart out. I've never trained like this. It's just the better man, the more skillful man won. I just think Donaire got a little bit complacent with his power and got away from boxing. Like guys like Jorge Arce, that's cool because that's their MO. You might be able to clip them and then make it a short night, but it's going to take more than that to beat a guy like Nicholas Walters. Jorge Arce wasn't as big, you know what I mean, a weight class above like Nicholas Walters is, plus the power and then the technique and everything everyone else said.
And, hey, I just want to add on to what Ego just said is, Donaire is carrying some psychological baggage since the Rigondeaux loss. But like I said, I don't think it's fair to use it as an excuse because I think that psychological baggage is now his persona as a boxer. He's going to carry that now throughout the duration of his career, so he's going to have to learn how to surmount that, you know, if he is capable of it. So again, it's not you can't use that as an excuse with the Nicholas Walters. I think even prior to Rigondeaux, if he would have ran into a boxer the caliber of Walters, results would have been very similar. And also to what Ego said, when he was Donaire relying on his power. After he touched the canvas, after he tasted canvas in the third, he started trying to make an adjustment. He started trying to box. He started trying to be slick, hands down a little bit, trying to, give Walters a different look. And Walters didn't, he didn't bite into it. He didn't buy into it. He didn't bite on the bait. He just stayed with the textbook fundamentals and broke Donaire down and came out with a spectacular win.
Yeah, I just want to add on to what both of you guys said. I agree with you, Norrin. You can't really use that as an excuse because, first of all, if Norrin Radical would have knocked him out. If Nonito Donaire,
it happens.
If Nonito Donaire would have knocked him out in that second round, what would we be saying? What would we be saying? We wouldn't have been saying, he still has the lingering effects of the Rigo fight. I mean, I agree to a small extent that, yeah, it may have took a little bit of his soul, him losing to Rigo, just a loss, period.
Exactly.
Right?
It's
but at the same time, if it was about a minute more in that round and he would have stopped Walters, we would have been said, oh my goodness, he has completely resurrected his career.
Just because the psychological baggage is present doesn't mean that it is solely accountable for each time, he gets in there in the ring, and, if he loses, he was up against a better fighter.
And absolutely.
That's all it does.
And another good example is look at when Terry Norris got knocked out by Julian Jackson. He came back. He was the same Terry Norris. I'm not saying everyone is always the same, because Roy Jones wasn't the same, but the point that I'm making is he looked damn good, but Walters looked a lot better.
Absolutely.
Walters was able to adjust. We seen both of them get hurt, and we seen how Walters responded to being hurt, and we seen how Donaire responded to being hurt. And that's what it comes down to.
Is it my bad, D? Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just about to. I thought I heard Marquis if he wanted to throw something on that.
I wanted to throw a little something up in there. As far as Donaire goes, I think Donaire can't hang with the top 126 guys. A slick guy like Vasil Lomachenko or the Mexican-Russian Gradovich or Johnny Gonzalez, he should stay away from all title holders in the division. I mean, that's my honest opinion. I think he was better at 122. I think he'll have a little success if he was to move down, but not with the top two guys in that division, which is Rigondeaux and what's the other guy named? Carl Frampton.
Yeah, and Quigg is pretty decent. But, I mean, it'd be cool. He's at 122. I wouldn't mind seeing Donaire need to chase people like Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, quite frankly, and it's sad to say it, but the truth of the matter is Donaire, he's the type of fighter, he needs to fight guys who have, flaws, defense flaws, because he has all of that power.
Exactly.
And he needs to land, those punches. You need someone like Leo Santa Cruz. So, quite frankly, as sad as it sounds, he should start cherry picking for the rest of his career, and stay away from certain fighters. Make your money. I mean, it is prize fighting. If you're not on that level to fight against dudes like Guillermo Rigo, Nicholas Walters, Lomenchenko, which we're gonna talk about him too, then hey man, just play your position. Get in where you fit in, and I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, guys.
I think Santa Cruz. I think his style is tailor-made for somebody like
of course,
Nonito Donaire.
Absolutely.
Or Abner Mares.
I thought about that too.
Abner Mares too. But I think, especially with Santa Cruz, he just come in like a raging bull and just throw like 1,000 punches per round.
Yeah.
And that was set up, Nonito Donaire's left hand for him to get hit.
And all of his counter punches, it will set all that up. Yeah, so that's pretty much what he needs to do. Now, before we talk about Golovkin, I also want to talk about Lomenchenko. What do you guys think about that terrific matchup if it happens? I'm not going to make any predictions right now unless the fight is actually made, but I just want to give my quick thoughts. I think personally Lomenchenko is the best fighter defensively in the division, at least from what I've seen in the Gary Russell fight. I mean, now we've seen he didn't really deal with pressure that well against Orlando Salido, a guy who's just going to walk through whatever you throw. It seems like that kind of threw Loma off. But boxing ability and, and skill, that would be a very competitive fight. If it wasn't for Nicholas Walters' jab, I would say that Lomenchenko would win that fight. But Walters has a jab that can pretty much nullify anyone's style. So that's a real good fight. Let's go with you, Ego. I haven't talked to you in a minute, or you ain't talked in a minute. So what you think about that?
Man, I absolutely love that matchup. Nicholas Walters, he did his thing against Nonito Donaire in impressive fashion. And you got to give him credit. I didn't get to say this last time. But Donaire, to my knowledge, has never been stopped. He only had the 2 losses with the Rigondeaux, and he actually got stopped. And when he fell, I was worried. He fell like a sack of potatoes. So Nicholas Walters, I mean, like I said, I think he's the real deal. And I also feel that way about Lomachenko. I mean, he has a crazy amateur pedigree. I actually picked Gary Russell Jr. to beat Lomachenko. I was like, man, this guy, he's new to the pro ranks. He lost the Salido fight. and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. We
all
were.
Yeah.
I was wrong about that too.
Yeah, I really just thought the speed of Gary Russell Jr. would give anyone problems, and it just wasn't the case. And I knew everything going in about Lomachenko, studied up, did my homework on him. So I'm on board. I love the fight with Walters and Lomachenko, and I think boxing needs to get back to that. Just kind of the best fighting the best, the Hopkins and Kovalev fights, the fights that need to happen, the meaningful fights in each division need to start happening again. So that would be one of them.
Yeah. What do you think, E. King? You think that fight will take place, or what do you think about that fight?
It sounds like Bob Arum wants to make that fight. I personally, I'd like to see. You know what they did back in the day when they wanted to make a big fight happen? They'd have both of these guys on the same card fighting a decent fighter to set up, that fight. I would like to see something like that with Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko might have to fight Toledo again. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He should clean up. He should clean up his previous mess. That's an excellent point, actually. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I also would like to have my little 2 cents on that. I feel like Lomachenko, he should go back and avenge that loss to Orlando Toledo, because to me that fight was pretty close. But as far as Lomachenko versus Walters, I think that's a good fight. I think it would be, somewhat competitive, but I probably would favor, Lomachenko, considering the fact, he have amazing footwork.
Mm-hmm.
He got a good defense. He move his head, and it's kind of hard to, counter him, because Gary Russell, he have blazing hand speed, and, sometimes when Gary Russell, he would, ball up and try to bait Lomachenko to come in so he can counter him with one of those left hands, and none of that has seemed to work. So I'm interested to see how, Walters will get his shots off on Lomachenko, and how will Lomachenko, pretty much deal with the good jab that, Walters will have. So we'll have to see. Bob Arum, I think he want to make the fight, but he probably let them have a couple fights before they meet up, probably sometime late next year or something. So we'll just see.
And it's interesting you say that too, Marquis, because I was just thinking about the fact that Bob Arum, it seems like all of a sudden he's been willing to put some of his best in the ring at the same time. If you guys look at a lot of the fights that's going on right now, he's putting his best fighters in there. So I don't know if he just felt that he really didn't care if Dontae'S lost or not, but that's not like Bob Arum to do that. So we'll
age.
It could be the age.
He's getting old.
Something wrong.
Senescence.
Something wrong, because he's usually greedy as hell trying to keep everybody winning. And he's willing to sacrifice some of his best fighters right now.
It's called limited time.
Yeah, but I think,
that's what I'm saying, the age, baby.
Get it all out before he croak.
You already know.
I think he gonna, cash out before he let those two meet up at a certain point. We'll see.
Yeah, we will definitely see. And just one quick thing about Lomachenko. Like I said, after watching this great fight between Walters and Donaire, I went back and I watched a couple rounds of the Lomenchenko versus Russell fight. And, man, I was really just like I was impressed with Walters, I was very impressed with Lomenchenko because Gary Russell's his speed. His speed, his intelligence, his accuracy. And I'm telling you, Gary Russell, he couldn't catch this man with a bag of rice. I mean, dude's defense was impeccable. Walters was Russell was having a really hard time landing, and what Lomachenko, would do is he would dart in and out so quick, where he would jump in with a punch, and soon as Gary Russell tries to counter, Lomachenko's already gone, and that's pretty much how the whole fight went. On top of that, he has power, so that would be a hell of a fight. Loman, like I said, is on a whole nother level when as opposed to Donaire.
And let me add about Lomachenko and Walters. What we'll learn, because again, we'll go back to our catch term for the episode is intelligence, and we're gonna, Walters is a very intelligent fighter. So what we'll see in Walters versus Lomachenko, we'll also see if Walters has the ability to adjust. If he can make the proper adjustment and fight Lomenchenko in a way that, again, that makes Lomachenko uncomfortable. Again, you know, with the pressure. If we can see if Walters is able to make that adjustment, then, you know, like you said, we're in for a hell of a fight. But I'm looking forward to it regardless. It's a
50-50 fight. Like I said,
amazing fight to happen.
I'm not trying to call it at all. I'm just saying, you know, looking at the attributes, it would be a very competitive fight.
Let's go, Bob.
Let's go, Bob. And let's get into the main event. Oh, well, what they call it the main event. Anyway.
Ooh-wee. Let's go.
Congratulations, though. I will say congratulations. You know, Golovkin, he knocked out Marco Antonio Rubio in the second round. You know, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. And, you know, like I said, it's time for Golovkin to go ahead and step his game up. You know, I made my video. I talked about the fact that I wasn't too happy that they called this fight Mexican style when Marco Antonio Rubio, he basically just rolled over as soon as he got hit. You know, I don't think, you know, Mexicans would, you know, call that Mexican style. I think even they would agree with me that it looked like Rubio, he just rolled over for a paycheck. As soon as he got hit, he said no mas, basically, as far as I'm concerned. But it's time for Golovkin to step his game up. We already knew that that Rubio was a huge underdog. What did you think about it, Norton?
Marco Antonio Rubio said no mas after he got hit with the corkscrew right on the top of the head, son.
That's what he said. That's pretty much what he said.
Listen, again, okay, big ups to Triple G, impressive KO win. I figured he would get the KO. It happened a little bit earlier than I expected. It's you know, who's left at 160 now? We got Cotto,
Peter Quillen.
We got Quillen, of course, and we got Hassan and Dam, who he probably will. You know, again, nothing against the guy, but I'm just saying it'll probably be like who did Jermaine Taylor just beat?
Solomon.
Yeah, exactly, Sam Solomon. You know, so again, it's not a lot of pickings at 160. At the very least, I would want to see him in there with Kid Chocolate. You know, I mean, even Cotto would still look good. Of course, we know Cotto's been through wars. He's past his prime. We all know that. But still, it looks good on a guy's record, a la Alvarez and Canelo and Mosley. You know, you're still getting a legend on your record. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to see no more. And again, nothing against these guys. These guys is all, you know, solid fighters. But I don't really want to see Triple G in there with the, you know, the Macklins and the Gills anymore. You know, it's like you said, it's time to step that game up. Even Sturm, you know, even Felix Sturm, he's been through wars and shit. Like, I don't want to see that fight. I want to see him. It's so funny. Here's the irony. When going back real briefly, not to make this a topic, but when we was talking about last week, those guys on First Take and them talking about Mayweather and them giving Mayweather the ultimatum. Golovkin's the guy that needs the ultimatum. Man. You know, you either you're fighting Kid Chocolate, Cotto, or you're moving up to 168. You know what I mean? And even again, like you said, even Peter Quillen and Cotto, you know, the outcome is kind of a foredrawn conclusion. You know what I mean? You know, not so much, but still, Golovkin's going to be the heavy favorite. So yeah, it's time for him to step up. Nice, impressive victory. We all know the kid has tremendous power. You know what I mean? He's a fucking you know, he's a phenom. You know, with the power. But yeah, you know, you gotta challenge yourself now because you're the hype man. You're the guy who everybody is. You know, the next big thing. So, you know, now it's time to step up and prove it.
But you bring up a good point, though, Norrin.
Yes, sir.
When we talk about what people consider cherry picking, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't it ironic that Floyd Mayweather, no matter who he fights,
for sure,
it's a cherry pick?
Wasn't that the name of a song? Isn't it ironic? My bad,
man.
But
Floyd Mayweather, like I said, so he's fighting all these fighters, right? But when it comes to Golovkin, they actually encourage him to cherry pick. Right. They basically are okay with him cherry picking. Mm-hmm. So we know deep down, it was never really about, you know, them thinking he was cherry picking. They were just saying these things because it was more emotional, because personally they just don't like the guy. It has nothing to do with what makes sense. And that's really what it comes down to, because they're okay with Golovkin not fighting anyone as long as he continues to win. And interestingly enough, The same thing happened with Nonito Donaire when he was fighting against Narvaez. Jorge Arce, same thing with Sergio Martinez. When he was fighting the Macklins and this fighter and that fighter, people were okay with them fighting, softer competition. But, but when it comes to someone like Floyd Mayweather, he should move up and fight Hopkins. He should move up and fight Gigi, so on and so forth.
So is it just a simple case of the decafs expose themselves every time they
all the time. That's exactly what it is.
Every time they open their mouth.
That's exactly what it is.
For sure.
Eventually they accidentally make sense, and they don't even realize it. That's what it is.
Buffoonery.
Go ahead, guys.
I feel like I got to play devil's advocate for a second because, Golovkin, what he's doing right now is he's got so much hype around him. There's a certain, I think there's a sect of people that really believe he can be like an all-time great middleweight. And really, if he stays at the division and keeps doing what he's doing, he can break Bernard Hopkins' record. He can do it if he keeps doing what he's doing. But the thing is, I know all of us, we want to see him step up. We want to see him fight, top 5 guys and truly unify the division. But I think I hope there's still good fights out there for him. Like, I'd love to see the Lara fight. I would love to see Lara go up there and try and take down Golovkin. I'd love to see Golovkin versus James Kirkland.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great fight to me.
Or Demetrius Andrade.
I know Kirkland might have some chin problems, but that's a great fight for as long as it lasts.
Well, he turned down the Lara fight, just say. But go ahead.
And even the Indown fight, like, they can make that happen but except Indown's supposed to fight Jermaine Taylor, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's a white boy.
So I'd like to see Golovkin face the winner of those two. That would be, to me, that's the fight that makes the most sense, especially if Ndam wins. Because if Jermaine Taylor wins, then I don't know. Jermaine Taylor might be able to get out of that fight. Like,
let me just.
Who knows without him in the scenes?
Let me just. Yeah, exactly. Let me just say this in response to what you just said, EK. You're absolutely right. He could stay at the middleweight division for years and years and just dominate that division, and that would be impressive. Because eventually there will be competition. But the question is, will he fight everyone who challenges him at that division? Like, for example, what if Demetrius Andrade? We know he's tall. We know he could easily make middleweight. What if he steps up? What if some fighters come down to middleweight? Is he going to challenge him? See, the problem.
That's absolutely right. But Golovkin's in this gray zone where the stars don't want to fight him, and even some contenders that are on the come up might not want to fight him. So it's like, but now he's at a point where the guy who beats Golovkin is going to, be a star as well.
Of course, that's how it works.
Pretty soon, for sure, fighters will be stepping up to fight him, and that's going to be very interesting.
Very interesting. Let me just ask you this. Go ahead, Marquis. Go ahead.
Now, to me, if guys in your division, don't want to fight you, I mean, why not move to 168 and fight the king that's at 126? I mean, not 126, 168. Sorry about that. He say he willing to fight Chavez and Frost at 68, but not Andre Ward, who is pound for pound number 2 in the world. You fight him and beat an elite guy like him, there is your pound for pound supremacy.
There you go.
But the thing is, they want to fight certain guys that don't move their head like Lara and can't move on their feet like Lara and Ward with some athletic ability. It's been proven in the interviews of what kind of fighter he liked to fight. You have to take on all comers, all styles, Then another thing I want to touch on is they like to say he don't sell tickets and he boring. Okay, Adama, Stevens, Rubio, and Gabe Rosado can sell tickets, huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
These fans, they leave their own contradictions wide open to where it don't add up. Either one of those guys are more credible or known than Andre Ward. Nobody can tell me with a straight face, say that fight won't sell or generate decent numbers.
We know, and speaking of numbers, excellent point, Marquis. And speaking of numbers, Gigi, you know, he was a success at the StubHub. He sold out the StubHub. I think 1.3 million people tuned in to watch the fight. So this is my question for the, you know, ignorant fans that keep saying, oh, Andre Ward should leave him alone and go fight Kovalev. Now, not only the fact does Kovalev already have, you know, business with Bernard Hopkins, but why would Andre Ward pass up the guy who has views like this? Pass up the guy who's selling out arenas, you know, has Mexican fans booing their own Mexican countrymen just to support him. Why would Andre Ward pass that up? Why would Andre Ward pass that up? Right?
Not only that.
Go ahead.
Not only that, Dontae, he had a better skill than Kovalev.
Of course.
Kovalev is just a headhunter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kovalev is more predictable. He's more like what would Muhammad Ali call George Foreman? He called him the mummy.
That was Ken Norton.
He was one of them. That's Kovalev.
As a matter of fact, it was George Foreman too. Both of them.
Yeah, he called him the mummy. So that's pretty much what Kovalev is in contrast to Golovkin. But not only that, but as well, Golovkin was here first. Golovkin, he rose up first. Kovalev came after Golovkin. So if you guys are going to say that he should fight Kovalev instead, I got an idea. How about Andre Ward fights them both? How about he fights Golovkin first since he's the biggest star, and then if he gets past, you know, Golovkin, then he fights someone like a Kovalev or someone like that. But see, they don't want to see that, though. It doesn't make sense when it comes to these fans. Why would you not want your fighter to fight the best fighter pound for pound, top 2 in the world, when Golovkin can arguably not even be considered, you know, top 10 in the world? Now, you know, at one point I had him in my bottom 10, but the point is we're supposed to be in this sport so that we can be the best, right? These boxers are trying to propel to be the number 1 in their division, the number 1 in the world, or whatever the case may be. If you guys don't want them to fight the best, and fighters like Cotto and Canelo don't want to fight Golovkin, then who do you guys want them to fight? A Rubio rematch? I mean,
can I ask another rhetorical question?
Man,
can I ask another one?
Do it, man. Do it.
All right. Is it a simple case with these decafs of they want to be able to do it, but it's not cool when we, when other guys do it? I ain't gonna say but when other guys do it, I mean, it's cool when, you know, like you said, Golovkin cherry picks or whomsoever, and I'm not really accusing them of cherry. I'm not gonna. But we know what it is. Like I said, it's time to step up.
It's called a double standard.
So that's what it is. So it's cool when you do it or when your guy does it, but it's not cool when the other guy does it. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's definition of a double standard.
And Ego. So what do you think, Ego? I mean, does it make more sense for Golovkin or Andre Ward to fight Kovalev first and just completely leave Golovkin alone? I mean, what do you think about that?
Man, first I want to start off by saying I was very disappointed with the main event, the Mexican style. That wasn't no damn Mexican style. What Mexican? Victor G?
Oh my God.
As far as Triple G, I mean, to me, I guess it's this. I'm not against a person clean out the division. That's actually commendable to me in boxing, to like stay around. But when you obviously have the power and there's not many opportunities for you to showcase your best attributes, then you might want to consider going up. People rag on Andre Ward. You know, I'm from the Bay Area, but I'm not being biased. People rag on Andre Ward, oh, he's inactive, but he's still done more as a pro than Golovkin. If you look at the names on Andre Ward's resume, Darnell Boone, Chad Dawson, the guys Kessler, Carl Froch, he has way better names and performances. Like, when's the last time Triple G was in a Super 6 type tournament? You know what I'm saying? So, like Norin said earlier, I want to see Triple G tested, and that's the ultimate. I think he's the goods, but I thought a lot of people were the goods. People were saying Jermaine Taylor was the next, you know what I mean, best thing.
Andre Berto.
Chad Dawson.
Losses and stuff. So, I mean, seeing is believing, I guess you could say. I told people Nicholas Walters would be triumphant, and then that's one that came true. You know what I mean? Same thing with Kell Brook. I called that one too. So people have to see it to believe it. People said I was all kinds of crazy for picking Kell Brook over Sean Porter, and I couldn't really argue with them because Kell Brook at that point, he had been a pro for like 9-10 years, and he hadn't really proven it. So all I can go off is speculation. So as far as Triple G, I want to get away from the speculation of what I think would happen and get the actual reality by seeing him. I mean, Andre Ward, why not fight him? He's inactive. You feel your power carries you and, can get you past anybody. Why not fight him? As far as Ward, I don't know. People make all kinds of excuses. I feel like some of the fans nowadays act like they're the promoters, like Bob Arum Jr. or something, because they make some outlandish, like, oh, why should Triple G sell or fight? Why should he fight to Edeslani Laura? Because that won't sell. Well, why do you care? I don't care what sells. There's a lot of fights that won't. You know what I mean? I don't care if Terrence Crawford and Yuriorkis Gamboa didn't do record-breaking numbers. It was a good fight, and I enjoyed it. So I don't really care about what's going to sell.
I got to chime in. Just to throw the example out there, if Andre Ward has the right to wait around for Golovkin to move up, then I think Golovkin has that same right to wait for Canelo. I think that's also a great fight that could be in the wings.
I agree with that. Go ahead.
And I also got to say, Golovkin has to move up if his objective isn't to make history at middleweight. If he wants to make history at middleweight and be an all-time great middleweight, clean up the division, unify the titles, and fight great 154-pounders like Canelo and Lara, and even Floyd Mayweather, if that could ever happen, because everyone wants to fight Floyd. So if that's his objective, I don't care if he stays at middleweight because we're going to see great fights from him. But I'm sure we all agree he can't keep fighting bumps. He's either got to move up or step up the opposition. Or that's pretty much it.
That's not his objective.
The thing is, I think he needs to take the Edeslani Laura approach. How Laura had called out Canelo for 3 years and didn't get the fight. Then after Canelo beat Angulo, he hopped up on stage. If Triple G really wants that action and he wants all these top names, then he can't be the nice guy like, no, yeah, Max, you know what I'm saying? You got to just go out and gun it for these people. Like, he needs to really start calling people out. He can't be this humble dude. Make it more of a public issue to show that you're doing your due diligence because, like you said, and everyone pretty much sounds like we're in agreement, he can't keep fighting the Adamas. I didn't ask for that fight. I didn't want to see that fight. Sheeta had no power at 154, and he fought him at 160. Gabe Rosado was coming up. They initially had a catch weight in that fight, and Gabe Rosado, being the tough Philly guy, said, no, I don't want to catch weight, and he moved up in weight. That was his first fight at 160. So I don't want to see those types of fights. So whatever he does, he needs to make a statement. Journeyman, C-plus fighters, they can't cut it with Triple G. We get that. And now he needs to make a statement. Really, don't just call out Cotto. Like, really go after him, make it a public issue. Do what you got to do to land that fight with Canelo, Cotto, or whoever.
Yeah, man, he's got to do something to get Cotto to respond because no one's putting a lot of pressure on Cotto to respond. He's just hell yeah.
I
even heard from Cotto.
I feel Cotto's waving the white flag. I don't think
Cotto wants no part of Triple G. He wants that Canelo fight.
Yeah, he ain't gonna
try to do some record-breaking numbers on his own.
Now Oscar De La Hoya is saying that Canelo will fight Golovkin, but Canelo has to get past Cotto, which is going to be extremely hard. But let me just say this in response to what everyone is saying. I want it to be very clear. No one is forcing Triple G to go up to 168, okay? Matter of fact, I never talked about Golovkin fighting Ward until Golovkin said, I'll go up to 168 and I'll fight Froch and I'll fight Chavez. I'll fight anybody from 147 all the way to 168. Oh, except for that guy that they consider pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world named Andre Ward. That's the only reason why I'm saying you should fight Andre Ward. Now, yes, it is smarter. It's smarter to get the Cotto versus Canelo winner. That is definitely the smartest thing for Golovkin and his team to do. And if I was a promoter and if that was a possible, viable option, then I would definitely do it. But the thing is, what I'm looking at is, let's say Cotto and Canelo, they don't want to fight this guy. Who else is he going to fight? You know, he can fight. And Peter Quillen, I don't really know what's going on with Peter Quillen. I don't know if Peter Quillen is stalling, if Golden Boy is trying to protect Peter Quillen. But I think Golovkin.
And he has no belt now.
He has no belt. And then Peter Quillen, he claims that he dropped that belt because he wants to make the big fights. So why don't you fight Golovkin? You know, as far as I'm concerned, Peter Quillen. I think Peter Quillen, I mean, I could be wrong, but Peter Quillen, he seems like he might be ducking Golovkin, you know? So the whole thing is if everyone is ducking Golovkin, just like Paul Williams versus Sergio Martinez, nobody wanted to fight Sergio Martinez. Nobody wanted to fight Paul Williams. What did they do?
Made it happen.
They made it happen. They said, fuck it, we're going to fight each other, right? And that's what if Golovkin truly believes that he's the best, dude, you got a guy sitting right there who is pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. Look at how Rigo chased Donaire because he had that pound for pound spot. Look at how people chase, you know, of course people going to chase Mayweather. That's not a good example. But look at how Lara was chasing. Lara is smaller than Golovkin. And Lara was chasing Golovkin. And that's another contradiction, double standard. They get mad when fighters call out, you know, big names that they don't like. But then, you know, but then they want to turn around and they want to call someone like Floyd Mayweather a coward if he not fighting certain fighters. When Lara was calling out Golovkin,
they get mad.
I got hate mail just because Lara was calling him out. Starts with a D, you know. Starts with a damn D. Go ahead.
Dante, I was gonna say this to me, after a few more fights, a fight I really want to see Triple G in is Andre Dirrell. I think Andre Dirrell is sharp. They fought amateurs. I would love, because for me to really gauge Triple G, you have to have some level of pop and respectable power, good boxing, good footwork. You know what I mean? Just be overall like a Timothy Bradley type of fighter where you're like a complete fighter where you can do a lot of good things. I think that's what it's going to take to beat a guy like Triple G. Like, you have to have a solid chin, of course, and, you know what I mean, be able to punch. So I would love to see Andre Dirrell versus Triple G.
Yeah, there's two different styles that can, I think, beat Golovkin. It's the guy who will move around the ring and box a little bit with a good jab, but it's also a guy who can go on the inside, smother and fight on the inside. Andre Ward, a James Toney type style. Kasim Uma, which is the closest thing to a James Toney style. If you guys go watch that fight, you'll see that Kasim Uma, he pretty much made Golovkin look like he was a journeyman almost for a lot of those rounds. It was a very, very difficult fight. Golovkin, he caught him later on, and, you know, he bailed himself out of a possible loss. So, you know, and I also want to talk real quick. We do have 3 minutes left. You know, of course, this went by quick. But the clinches, I want to talk about how people are making excuses saying, oh, all Andre Ward is going to do is clinch and all this kind of stuff. First of all, if you guys watched the Rubio fight, go back and watch the first round. You'll notice after Golovkin threw a 4-punch combination, soon as Rubio, he responded with his combination. Soon as Rubio tried to respond, the very first thing that Golovkin did is he reached in and he clinched. He grabbed Rubio. He also did it in the second round. So I'm just saying, man, I mean, if we're going to play this, you know, clinch game, oh, the only people who clinch is Andre Ward, go back and look at the situation. You know, everyone does it under certain circumstances, but that's no excuse for you to say we don't want that fight, because realistically, you guys are not rooting for Andre Ward, so you don't care how he fights. Don't tell me you would rather see Andre Ward go in there and knock your guy out in the first round. You know, there's no way Andre Ward would fight that you would actually like his style, because you're rooting against the guy, right? So,
exactly.
Marquis, go ahead, man. You've been off air for a minute. What you think? Real quick. We got 2 minutes, man.
You talking about what I think of Golovkin?
Yeah, what you think about Golovkin possibly fighting Ward, or who he should fight? Should he stay at middleweight and stop talking about super middleweights? What you think?
Well, for the most part, I still feel like, you know, Peter Quillen and Golovkin, you know what I'm saying, that fight should still take place before he move up. But at the same time, I don't think Peter Quillen want to take that fight because he just turned down $1.4 million against Korobov. And Korobov is another guy, you know, that can fight Golovkin. He said he would like to avenge his loss from the amateurs to Golovkin. So that'll be pretty interesting. But, I mean, you know, if your camp say y'all will fight anybody from 154, you know, to 168, and then you not want to fight, and you don't want to fight one of the guys at 168, then all that bluster's about nothing, you know.
Absolutely.
You've been fighting nothing but C and D level fighters. You know, it's time to go to some elite level
Step your game
guys.
up. You got to step your game up. And we are down to the last minute. I want to go ahead and just first of all say thanks to everybody. Once again, we got my man in the studio, Norrin Radical.
Yeah, boy.
And everybody on the line with me, Egosworld, E-King Fight News. Also, you can check him out at E-King Fight News, YTBC. And my man, Marquis. Now, next week, we'll be talking about a whole lot more stuff, man. I wanted to talk about Alexander versus Khan as well. But we'll touch on that and a whole bunch of other stuff. Tune in, guys, next week, Tuesday, alltalkradio.net, 4:05 Pacific Standard Time. Catch up with you guys next week.
That's my Flavor Flav impersonation. Yeah, boy.